I think one of the things which I found missing in a lot of management and strategy things is intentions today. Companies do have something called a vision, but tying down the vision to a day-to-day activity is very hard to happen. Okay, so for example, what does we mean by an intention here is that, so if you take some comparisons, right, we typically take an action and a result-oriented approach. So I won't get into too much details. Let me just give one quick example here. Zenefits is a payroll processing company which actually makes zero, they charge the customer zero, right? But then classically when we take an action oriented approach, we'll say the only way I can get revenue is increasing per dollar user of a customer. So if I'm processing payroll for 50, I want to process for 100. If I'm processing for 10 customers, I'll process for 200 customers. That's the approach that we typically take. What they did is to have that long-term thing, right? They switched to an intention orientation approach, right? And not that, I'm not too sure whether they use the exact word intention orientation, but what they kind of said is our intention is to make the customer's life easy from a payroll perspective. Okay. In fact, they charge zero to the actual customers. But then they offer their entire payroll processing software and capability free of cost to the customer. Can any of you guess how?
They make money on transaction cost. That is the only thing I can think of.
So yes, partially, but the interesting thing is that what is the transaction there is, if you look at our payroll, right, we do tax savings, we do insurance, we do investments, right? So Zenefits says, I will tie up with, let's say, Microsoft. Microsoft need not pay me anything, but any investment the employee does will be through me. Okay. And I make money as a broker. So Zenefits is actually a mutual fund or an insurance agent, but doing payroll processing.
I have a similar example of a company in India which actually does something very similar. They offer billing and restaurant billing and ordering system.
Okay.
Which they give for zero, and they make money off payment processing. So if you want to attach it to a credit card or you accept Paytm or any other thing, it's called Pet Puja actually. It's a very interesting name also there.
Nice. I will look it up. Thanks for sharing. Pet Puja, is it? Okay.
Yeah, Pet Puja, and it's a cloud-based thing, very lightweight, and it means it is probably not as feature-rich as some of the other paid for software, but it does the job very well, and I've seen implementations, and it actually scales up also pretty well.
Interesting.
Very good example, similar to what
Zenefits did. So in this case, what I think both of them, right, if you look at it, they did not look at what is the customer trend or the technology trend and how do I make money out of it. They looked at something which is larger, right, which is the intention is to make life easier for my customers. Now that intention or that big thing, right, give that. When you give it to the team, your mind starts thinking in much more open-minded. In a classical roadmap approach, I'm just fixated on reaching that specific goal. So when some variations happens, as Ram was telling, right, in the reality, we are not able to do that pivot. We are not able to change. We are just stuck on that path itself. So just to give a little more structure to that, right? So how does an intention defined is, it has no clear results. That means you can keep on going at it. Make life easy for my customer. There's really no end to it. You can keep on working on that. It's a great...
It's like a mission statement. It's like a mission statement.
Exactly. It's like a mission statement. And it can never end, and there's no clear results for it also. It's just that you pick these 4 attributes, which we basically come with some amount of research, is that fast, easy, frugal, or safe. Now, any intention which a leadership comes up for the customer, this has to be an intention for the customer, pick 2 of the attributes. It's a constraint. You can't have more than 2. Okay, in English it might come, but in practicality it won't be. It is like performance and security, right? One is inversely proportional to the other. Trade-offs, right? Or your project management constraints. So if we come up with an intention, my guess is if we define the intention, the leadership defines the intention, understands the customer and defines an intention. Probably that would be a good mixture of setting a direction, and then the team kind of goes towards that role. I mean, this is what I was thinking.
I'm just trying to interpret what you just told us. I mean, I have no thought as to whether it is good or bad. So what I'm trying to just understand is focusing on the intentions might be a better strategy than having a roadmap. Is that the sort of Uber headline which you are focusing at? That instead of building sort of rigid roadmaps, you build up these intentions based on these two constraints which you might want to choose. Is that something which you're saying is the baseline for deciding the direction?
You're kind of there. I would say your intention will be the long-termish thing, right? 2 years, 3 years. This is the intention that I'm going to have. And what you would have is a 3-month, 6-month kind of a roadmap. And you keep changing that. So a roadmap, the word by itself becomes too rigid. I would just say the next 2-3 month map, right? So the roadmap will be probably a year maximum, not more than that.
There is